Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. This is the Texans Better Talk Show. Like and subscribe for more daily content. I appreciate the support you guys have been pouring in. Really appreciate it. Let's talk about three offensive linemen the Houston Texans should draft. Now, let me be clear. I don't necessarily want an offensive lineman in the first round because we need a guard, and that's just not a really valuable position to draft in the first round. So I do think that O-line should not be the priority in the first round of the draft, but still, I'm going to give you an option I really like if we were to take a guard at the first round, also the second round and the third round. So my three linemen will be realistic choices, and they'll be first, second, and third round. So let's start in the third round. In the third round, a viable offensive line pick that I think the Texans could make is Wyatt Milam, offensive tackle at West Virginia. Now, of the three names I'm going to give you, Wyatt Milam is the name that most translates to guard in the NFL. I do not see him playing tackle at all in the NFL. It's not a height thing, and I know height isn't necessarily everything it's made out to be at the tackle position. Milam is 6'6", 317 pounds. So he's a big dude. He's actually the biggest dude on my list. Still, he projects more favorably as an NFL guard. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, with his height, he's got a naturally high pad level. He's not super flexible, and I don't think he's as natural of an athlete as some of the other guys on my list. And for those reasons, he's got potential starting guard level. I think anything above a third round is, really reaching for him, unless there's, a huge run on tackles or you're running out of offensive linemen, which I don't think, would necessarily be the case. But some positives about Wyatt Milam: tremendous tape this year. He actually didn't give up a sack, and he played as a freshman. So he has played a lot of football in his college career. And he can also climb to that second level. He can get to the second level to make blocks on run plays. So again, he's a very solid player. I would kind of classify him as being, really good and decent at everything, but not necessarily elite in like one trait. Like, he doesn't have a super strong base. He's not super strong himself. He's not super flexible, but his floor is still pretty high, and he could make a potential starting guard at the NFL level. So now moving into the second round, a name that I think we could potentially draft. This is Josh Conerly Jr. Now, Josh Conerly Jr. might be higher up on your board. Maybe you don't see him getting to the second. There's a lot of things to like about Josh Conerly Jr. He's 6'4", 315 pounds. He's an offensive tackle at Oregon. He's a junior. So the thing I like about Conerly, he's insanely athletic and very physically gifted. He's also extremely competitive, and he's the type of guy, lineman, that will play till the whistle. He's going to hold his block on you for as long as he can, and he's going to try to shove you into the dirt. And that's what I really like about Conerly. He doesn't stray away from people. He really attacks people. He's also got great movement skills. So whereas Wyatt Milam doesn't, again, he wasn't kind of the most flexible. He kind of had some footwork issues, especially on like kick slides and things like that. Conerly really overcomes some of those issues at his size, which is great. And like I said, just extremely tough, but you don't always find. I think that's a huge issue with our line currently, is we don't have a lot of people who just, it doesn't feel like they really want to finish blocks. They really care. They're really competitive. I'm talking about, LT, who's good, so ignore that. But Titus Howard, Shaq Mason, like, we really need some new offensive linemen who will really play to the whistle and who really care, right? So that's what I like about Josh Conerly Jr. What I don't necessarily love about him is he's more of a tackle prospect in my eyes. He's not someone that, you draft and you really are super interested into kicking into guard. And so that's why I think his fit with the Texans might not be the best. He can be a bit handsy, and he kind of just tries to throw his hands at you instead of really just firmly grip, that front part of the shoulder pad. And then I also say he's not a run game destroyer. So he's not a dude who makes his presence known in the run game, whether that's getting to the second level and things like that. So it's still a little bit of a work in process. That being said, again, insanely athletic, insanely competitive, great mindset, and very physically gifted. So there's lots to like about Josh Conerly, and I do think he makes sense in the second. I also know some people want to see him drafted in the first. I'm not there yet, especially not on the Texans, but not at 25. But that's just my opinion. And so now moving on to a lineman that I really could see the Texans get drafting in the first round, that is Armand Membo. He's a sleeper. I think Membo has been one of the least talked about prospects, at least from an offensive line, kind of lens this year. And I think there's a reasonable chance he goes over Will Campbell, the LSU tackle. So again, Membo, I mean, I love this dude. He's got an unorthodox size for a tackle and maybe just an offensive lineman in general. He's 6'3", 325 pounds. Josh Connerly was 6'4", 315 pounds. So he's about an inch shorter, about 10 pounds heavier. He is an offensive tackle for Missouri. Now, Membo, just like Connerly, is a natural athlete, but he's a lot stronger. Again, very athletic, and he's young. He's only 20 years old, like Connerly. I think he's a sleeper pick. I definitely think the NFL might be onto him more than, just kind of we are, just with our mock drafts and things like that. I would actually love taking Membo at 25. And the thing about Membo is he's not necessarily someone who has to play guard at the NFL level. Like, he's shorter, that's true. Again, height isn't everything for the tackle position, but whereas Milam, you kind of feel forced to throw at guard, Membo genuinely looks like he could play a tackle. I mean, his body control, he can use his momentum. For his size, he is in very good control of his body. Unlike Milam, again, he can meet defenders at the second level. He can be that run game destroyer when he gets to the second level. And what I like about him more than Connerly is he has really strong leg drive, and that lower half, his base is so strong. Like, he genuinely just looks like he is impossible to push through. And Membo had great tape this year, really kind of, in my opinion, jumped up the ranks in the tackle position, rivaling, again, someone like a Will Campbell, who also I think is a great player who could play at guard. I don't think he'll be there when the Texans draft. Membo might not even be there when we draft, but if he is, I would be really happy with this pick. But kind of circling around and coming full circle, another reason why I like him is because I do think he still can play guard. He was a 4-star interior offensive line recruit coming out of high school, so he's played the interior before. He also has pretty long arms. Arm length is a big metric for offensive tackles, and that's another reason why he could viably play offensive tackle in the NFL. Obviously not on the Texans. We have tackles. But I do like that, he's a competitor. He's strong. He just moves people, and he just pushes them out of the way. One thing I'll say as another negative is that he has less of kind of that like finisher's mentality. Not because I don't think he can do that, or not because I don't think he's trying hard or anything like that. I think you just coach him up on it, tell him to tell him to block people to the whistle, add that to his game. It's a super small thing. Again, this dude is very good. I would love to see him at 25 on the Texans. And if NFL teams want to take, Kelvin Banks, they want to take Josh Simmons, they want to take Will Campbell, they want to take these more, taller or just other, tackle prospects that fit better at tackle, let Membo slide. If Membo slides and ends up at 25, I might want him over Emeka Ibuka. Seriously, like, I really like this prospect. He's a really, really, really good athlete, and I think he can make a great cornerstone guard. So if you don't know who he is, you haven't looked into him, seriously go look into him. He's a hell of a player. So that's kind of my list. Just to recap, in the third round, I'd be fine with Wyatt Milam. In the second round, I'd be fine with Josh Connerly Jr. And in the first round, I really love Armand Membo. So those are my 3 lineman names, and I'll make another video for wide receivers and things like that. But yeah, let me know. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Are there other lineman names you want to throw out there that you think would be great? And just like and subscribe for more Texans content, and I will see you guys in the next one. So thanks for all the support, and peace out.